One's life begins to change when their desires transform into concrete actions. You're listening to the Desire to Be podcast, where your desires for your life and relationships become your mastery. I'm your host, Devora Goldberg, and thank you for joining. Welcome back to another episode of the Desire to Be podcast. In today's interview, I sit down with an incredible woman, a beautiful woman, inside and out, who endured a very challenging time in her life. Julie Liechty from Dallas, Texas, is a wife and mom to 3 beautiful daughters. Julie's story captured my heart and impacted me in many, many ways, and I knew I wanted to bring this story to my audience. This episode is brought to you by Yael Trusch, podcast host of Money Matters and founder of Purpose to Profit. You've been wanting to start a business, share your gifts with the world, and get paid to do so. You're just not sure where to start. What you need to do is join Yael's free webinar. She will open a world of opportunity for you, dispelling fears that have been holding you back from putting your unique offer out to the world. Head over to jewishworkshops.com/Yael to register for her free live webinar, Purpose to Profit. It's all happening, my friends, on Monday, June 3rd at 12 p.m. EST. Mark your calendars now and head over to jewishworkshops.com/Yael to reserve your spot now. Details in show notes. So Julie, thank you for joining.
Thank you. Truly, thank you for having me and letting me share this difficult piece of my life. But yeah, joy to be able to share my daughter with you.
This story is all about your daughter, Ellison. Share with my audience a bit about Ellison.
All right. She was 12 years old when she was diagnosed almost 5 years ago with AML, which is acute myeloid leukemia. And it was truly just out of the blue. I sent her off to school that day, hugs and love, and feeling great. And by the time I picked her up that afternoon, she was in tears and horrible pain, telling me it hurt so bad she had to lay down in the car. It just spiraled quickly. And I took her to the ER that evening, and they would not let us leave. And they diagnosed her within about 24 hours after getting us over to the children's hospital, and you're just in such disbelief that out of 24 hours earlier, you felt like there's no way this kid is completely healthy, going off to school, happy. And that is our tragedy, the start of it. Right after Labor Day weekend. And she had all the fun and doing all the fun activities, and it went from there. And we did about 9 months of treatment, which included a bone marrow transplant, and it failed. That was going through all of it was extremely difficult. But feeling as though you were given a piece that a very selfless person had donated their bone marrow and was supposed to give her new life, that did not work. Really, it rocks your world in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
She passed away almost 4 years ago in May.
Tell us a little bit about what kind of girl Ellison was.
She was an old soul, just the sweetest girl. She had more empathy and love than I had ever seen in a young girl. Empathy is definitely something hard for all of us to have. Yeah. She loved her friends, her family, her animals. She loved to be part of all kinds of organizations and anything going on in school. She was the first one raising her hand, ready to help, ready to start that. I can do that. I'll do that for you. Her love of animals, always wanting to help and nurture, and what can she do to help change their lives and moving forward. She wanted to be a vet in Africa
Mhm.
And I mean, those are some big dreams for a little girl to go that far
Yeah.
and change the world in that way. She was always very active and cheer and lacrosse and ballet, playing violin.
Wow.
So she was always go, go, go. Loved her sisters. She was the middle of two
Mm.
and always the peacemaker, peaceful spirit, loved to help her sisters, her family.
We need that in families, right?
Yes, especially with all of us ladies having three girls. I joke with my husband, he's always been outnumbered. And it's fun. I can remember him sitting at the table and listening to all of us talking. He's like, "You guys can have a full-blown conversation. I've said nothing."
I love that.
So,
Very true. Tell my audience of what life looks like now after Ellison's passing. Maybe what it looks like for you, what it looks like for your family.
I think that is something people do not realize, that it's a whole new life. You wish you had the life you had before, but that is very different now. You've been handed this new life and you're struggling to find, where do you fit in this new world? Where does your husband fit? Where do your children fit?
Mhm.
How are you a parent to this new place? Because you're not dealing with the same pieces of parenting that you were before.
Mhm.
You're parenting children that lost a sibling, that their entire world is up in the air. And I think that we all become accustomed to the easy sayings of, "You'll be fine, it's going to work out just fine, you'll be okay." And those pieces that I think we all felt are true to a degree, I know never to say those things anymore. Those are
Yeah.
hurtful, to someone, because it's not true. That's not their reality. And trying to come to grips of, their world has changed just as much as my world.
Mhm.
So I have a new parenting world, a new wife world, friend, every piece of it looks different. And trying to help them move forward still and figure out their identity as they're growing up is extremely hard. They take that burden of reality
Mhm.
with them everywhere.
Yeah.
They've lost that innocence of, that's not going to happen. I'll be fine. No, they go about life with, I could be gone in a second.
Mhm.
Tragedy can strike at any moment.
Mhm.
So, how do I want to proceed in this moment, tomorrow, and do what I can? Dreams don't need to wait. The time is now. And trying to work on that without jumping too far ahead into adulthood and letting them still sit in
Yeah.
their age, that's hard.
Yeah. And there's a lot of support, it sounds like, that you have to provide for them. Did you want to add
Yes.
something?
It's that you have to figure out your support and how you're going to support them.
Yeah.
This is all unknown. I mean, parenting is unknown to begin with. We don't have a guidebook, but there's not a large group of people that can understand loss as a parent,
Yeah.
how to parent after loss to those siblings that watched losing their sibling. And on top of it, you're still trying to figure out you
Yeah.
and your role as a wife, because you still have your husband that is struggling as well. You want to support him, you want to be there for him, and figure out, well, where do I fit in that
Mhm.
to support him? Because his feelings change as well. And that goes into his work, and it's all a new world.
And where is there space to support yourself in all this?
You have to make the space.
Mhm.
You have to have the desire to continue to put one foot in front of the other And finding that space is only about you carving it out and putting things down that you have learned do not feed you and get you to the next place. Meditation, I have found, is crucial to me. It gives me space to connect with my Ellison, to connect with myself, and it just sets a piece for that challenge. And just laying down what I feel is true, what the world used to tell me is true, and just going through all of those waters of going, that's not really true. That's not going to fit into this new life. Being completely authentic and not letting all of the burdens weigh you down and not being stopped by all of the negativity.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go into an aspect of parenthood that you mentioned to me previously, that as our kids grow up, we want to give them wings to fly.
Mm.
And for you, you mentioned that this is a metaphor not only for allowing our kids to grow up and be their own individuals, but at the end of Ellison's life, that saying took on a different meaning for you. Tell us a bit more about that.
It did. Like we had said, as your child naturally grows up and moves through high school and they're going to college, we have all the worries and concerns, but you start to just take your hands off more and give them those wings to decide where they're going to go in their life.
Mhm.
And when your child is sick, it comes to a different place of giving them wings in the way of you have to really listen to them and know where their soul is and is it their time to give them wings to go to the next.
Mhm.
And it's not really a permission, but it's a place of your parenting soul, that connection
Mhm.
that you give them the wings to go to the next.
Yeah.
And when she was in the end stages, it was very hard listening to her words and her saying that she felt like it was her time.
Mhm.
It was her time to go. And I don't really know that there's ever any words to come back at that. If she feels that that's what her soul is telling her,
Mhm.
it's to give her the wings to go. Okay, honey, I hear you.
Yeah.
I trust. I know. We know that we're here for a purpose, and that's different for everyone. Seeing that life cross over is it's painful. And there's joy smashed right in there because you see her wings where she was meant to be.
I'm just making space for that right now as a parent and any parents who will be listening to this, understanding the weight of the words of the wings that you just gave us. Tell us about the organization that you started after Ellison's passing.
Yes, her best friend Emerson had thought it was a great idea to make some bracelets, and she started doing that herself. And we decided to put them on our website we had created for her funeral to give back to African elephants.
Mhm.
And we just started that jewelry business, and it snowballed into a full blown company. And we donate all of our proceeds to African elephant sanctuaries. And they not only rehabilitate elephants and other animals, but they hire local people, they educate the local people. So it is such a group village effort
Mhm.
to do so much good to give back to the world. And in addition to that, we donate to Deck My Room. It is a national organization that goes into pediatric hospitals and they deck their room out when they have a 3-week stay or more.
Mhm.
Those two are the big pieces that we give all back to. It's a piece of my life that I still get to hold on to Ellison in the way of we're also busy providing for our kids, whether it be sports or school or even the simplest of things of clothing and food. And those are pieces that I think we do not realize how grateful we get to provide for our kids. We
Mhm.
actually are excited that we are able to do that for them. And when that piece is taken from you, it's just completely gone. It leaves a hole, and you want to do the most you can for all of your children.
Mhm.
And so this is a way that I get to hold on to her and still let her legacy and her spirit live on in this world, that I further her dreams in that way. She wanted to be there and save the elephants, be with people. So that piece is for both of us, for me as her mother and for her.
Yeah. And I can say the jewelry is absolutely beautiful. I love the website. I love
Thank
what you
you.
have there. Guys, check it out. What's the website they can go on?
Love Ellison.com.
I can say I've got some beautiful pieces for myself, for my daughter, and we love it. We think of Ellison. We see that little chain of the elephant on it, and we know what the purpose of it is and what we are maintaining when we wear it, what her memory is that we're living on.
Yes, yes. I think it's so important that we never stop dreaming, and dreams are put in our mind and our hearts for big purpose
Mhm.
when we align ourselves with our soul, and we can continue to make this world a better place and love others. It's so easy to love others. It's so easy to be an encouraging word and be a part of a community that can help one another.
This episode is brought to you by Yael Trusch, podcast host of Money Matters and founder of Purpose to Profit. You've been wanting to start a business, share your gifts with the world, and get paid to do so. You're just not sure where to start. What you need to do is join Yael's free webinar. She will open a world of opportunity for you, dispelling fears that have been holding you back from putting your unique offer out to the world. Head over to jewishworkshops.com/Yael to register for her free live webinar, Purpose to Profit. It's all happening, my friends, on Monday, June 3rd at 12 p.m. EST. Mark your calendars now and head over to jewishworkshops.com/Yael to reserve your spot now. Details in show notes. I think it's important for us as a society to understand and be more compassionate about the suffering that people go through from a loss. What
Yes.
might a grief trigger look like for you that people can understand?
Well, there's a lot, just going about my daily life. There's a trigger. It feels almost anywhere. For the longest time, I wouldn't go to the grocery store. It was so hard to go to the grocery store. I cook a lot, bake a lot. All my girls love baking, and my daughter was celiac. And so there were pieces I would be specifically buying for her. And now I don't even venture down that aisle, or I don't make those pieces. And that was very hard. That was a trigger for me, just being out there. And also, you run into people in the grocery store, and people treat you different after loss. You're the elephant in the room. They don't know what to say. And so they either avoid you, or they say the silly things of like, "Oh, how are you?" Well, you think, hmm,
Do you really
no,
want to know?
yeah, is that just one of those niceties, or do you really want to know?
Mm.
And I think for me, I've always been such an authentic person that that never set well with me to begin with, but especially now does not set well with me. I want to know how people are doing. I want to engage deeply. I want them to know I love them. I'm there. And I think that's a piece of our society that may be missing a little bit, that we do not teach as much anymore. Just to be there, be authentic with people. If you want to know how they're doing, truly continue the conversation. It is so much harder and more uncomfortable on us just being in the world, seeing our old life that we used to have bits and pieces of it all around town, all around the friends and families that we've had forever. And you know what? Ignoring us is incredibly painful too. I understand they just don't know what to say.
So what do people do? What's your advice? If someone is unsure, they feel uncomfortable, but they really want to get out of their shell, they want to do something, say something, or even a nice gesture, what's the appropriate response?
Always be authentic. Just even say, I don't know what to say to you, but you are on my heart. And I just want you to know I would love to take you to breakfast or lunch, or I would love to just meet up with you, whether it's my house, it's out, or anywhere. I want to be there. Let me be the one if you want to sit in silence, if you want to have a cup of coffee, if you just be authentic with the reality that is truly in front of both of you. That person does not know what to say. If they have not experienced it, own up to it. I don't know what to say. I'm hurting with you and for you. And take that next step of just, hey, can we put something on the calendar? I just want to sit with you.
And that's really potent, Julie, because I think a lot of people are scared of silence and they feel like they need to fill that void of silence with something, which is probably why we're always picking up our phone and keeping ourselves busy. But there's such beauty in silence. And
There
sitting
is.
with someone and saying, if you need silence, we'll give you that silence. You may need another person with you with this silence, and I can be here and fill that void.
I think that we don't realize all the time how lucky we are to be going about our just daily lives. We've got, when we really look at it, everything at our fingertips. You know, we typically drive a car, we take our kids to school, we've got food right around the corner, we've got all of these things at our fingertips. So we forget sometimes the community that we really need to reach our soul is each other. And it's just being there with each other. It's loving them at every depth. And that is just, loving is not a super easy thing. It's not just a comfortable. And I mean, are you always comfortable with everything with your husband? You know, you love them so much, but let me tell you, there's always those conversations that you're like, I am not enjoying this right now. But you love them to the core. So when we love others, we're willing to sit in uncomfortable spots.
Wow, that is so deep, true, and real.
Yes, it is a place of what we all live at some point in our life, but remembering too, when we're young moms, just stop for a second. Just stop and take notice of what you do have and the joy around you, because you can find joy in everything that you have. It's funny, so many people complain about pickup line or this or that at school. My face, I know the teachers are always like, you're always smiling, you're always, and it's like, oh, the joy to see my daughter walk out of that school. That may sound silly to some, but when you also have had a child that had to lay in a hospital bed, that was unable to walk, in too much pain, you see the joy in the little things, just watching her walk to me in the car.
Absolutely. There's so many
Yes.
points, moments of gratitude that we can have throughout the day, and it's not hard to pick it up.
No, no, not at all. walking through the tragedy with her has, going back a little bit to how it's changed our life and parenting is, I think we all see the joy more in our life now. And it's easier to put away the negative and just hone in on joy as we're trying to get through, figure out the new plan of life. Everything just looks different.
Yeah. Which is an incredible lens to look at it, to understand, again, from us as a society, as a community, looking at someone's life that has changed drastically. It's a whole new life. It's not like they were just reborn. They are still living, but there's a whole new reality. And it's important for us to see that we need to show up differently with compassion and acknowledgement throughout the process.
Yes. And like talking about going to the grocery store, my youngest still goes to the school that my middle daughter went to when she was there in elementary. It's hard walking in that building. It's hard having the conversations with the other families. It's hard just going about town. And my daughter that passed away would be a senior this next year. And so, all of the things everyone's getting ready for to graduate high school.
Right.
I see all of it in front of me that she's not participating in. I don't have the pictures. I don't have the joy of participating in that, but I watch all of the friends, all of the moms, the families. It's hard just to exist. And it's like an in between world.
Yeah.
You know what you used to have. You don't know this new life, but you're thrown into it and you're kind of tiptoeing in different places trying to figure out what feels right.
Right.
And it's those are triggers as well, just going about town.
And I could just imagine that the grief that happens within a person, we don't have a big badge saying, like lighting up, right now I'm in grief, please show me compassion. We still walk around. I mean, looking at your beautiful face, always smiling, always proud, always, I mean, what I see, right, is just a happy person. But who knows that someone is hurting inside, which just shows us how much more so always assume that the other person needs a smile, needs more compassion. Let's show up with happiness ourselves. We never know how far it's going to take and brighten up someone else's day that may be hurting inside.
Right. And really asking yourself, is it really that hard? Is it really that hard to just smile, say hi? If you see somebody, you see young moms and there's the crying toddler. Is it really that hard just to tell them you've got it? May I help you? Can I pick your crying toddler up off the ground? It's not hard to just be grateful and joyful in all of those moments in society. And none of us know what each other is really going through unless you truly know the person.
Mm-hmm.
And that has definitely changed my process going through life.
I can't imagine the grief that you live with daily, and yet with it all, you choose love, you choose life, you put one foot in front of the other. On the Desire to Be podcast, I like to hone in on people's greatness amidst the challenges that they may be facing. At this point in your life, Julie, what would you say your greatest desire in life is?
Love, to just love my family, to share love, joy. We're so easily bogged down with negativity, and watching Ellison in the hospital and everything she went through, she had so much hope and joy. And I'm so grateful that I got to be her mother here on earth and be there through all of it. It was awful having to watch your child suffer. It's not fair. It's not right watching the suffering every day and not being able to tell them you're going to be okay. But I just desire to take that journey with me and love others, love my community, truly find the joy, because there's joy everywhere. I could not continue if I chose to go down the path of all negativity. I
Wow.
have 2 other children. I have a husband, and I know how much they need me to keep going too.
That's a really strong, potent lesson for us all to hear. Julie, if there's anyone in my audience who'd like to reach out to you directly, how can they do that?
Online, I have an email. I have my Instagram, my personal Instagram as well, Julie Liechty. My email is julieliechty@outlook.com. As hard as it is, I cry a lot during a lot of conversations, but I do like to talk about grief and where we all are in the midst of it, whether it's someone like you had touched on helping another person or another mom or friend in the middle of it. There's a lot of people suffering today. There's a lot of diagnosis out there that you don't know where they're going, and just truly sitting with that person and letting them share every fear and concern is important.
You've shared so much wisdom, so much depth, and love and light with us today. And my hope and my prayer that you continue to shine and that Ellison continues to shine and your family finds continued comfort throughout this time. Ah, what a great episode. Thank you for being here. I truly, truly appreciate you. I'd love for you to tap 5 stars and let me know what resonated. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn under my name, Devorah Goldberg. That's where I give you more content. That's where we're able to engage even further. Until next episode, stay safe and be well.